Good morning, Jen. How you doing today?
I am great, Robert. How are you?
Fantastic. Back for another foster care short with Jen Stout. If you haven't seen the last one, we have a new series called the Foster Care Shorts with Jen Stout, who is a foster care parent as well as the director of foster care for Thompson. She's a wealth of knowledge and experience, and she's done quite a bit with our organization. So today we got a question for her. The source of behavioral problems that many foster care youth have. Can you help us to identify the source of some of the issues and challenges of the behavior problems that many of our youth have?
Absolutely. So here's the thing. Foster kids, well, actually, just kids have all sorts of behaviors. For foster kids, often the sources of their behavior come from places of trauma, come from places of abuse and neglect, come from places like, for example, educational gaps. So let's say, so here we are at the end of the school year, right? Testing is about to happen. This is the time of year where we will find a lot of foster kids start to get suspended from school. They will get expelled from school, detention. And one of the reasons for it, and then, unfortunately, because they've had these behaviors, now they have consequences. And so they have consequences at school, they have consequences at home. And these are the times where foster families really need to delve into the why. Why are you having this behavior this time of year? Could it be that you have an educational gap and you're afraid of being tested? And now it will confirm that you don't know the things that you're supposed to know. And kids are afraid. What is somebody's reaction going to be? So the why is always more important than the actual behavior. So if that makes sense, why are they having that behavior? What has happened? And that is an approach that not many families look to. They look specifically at the behavior and how can I correct this behavior by punishing you?
Mm.
And so instead of getting into the why of the behavior, and that's the sitting down and talking to kids and really walking through what we call a life space interview. And it's not hard. It's just conversation, but it's allowing a kid to be honest about things that have happened to them. And we will find the solution to their behavior, not in punishment, but in the building of the rapport and the finding out of the why. And that's it. It's not hard.
That's a great response because what goes to my mind is I was punished a lot growing up. Is the punishment is like the default answer, and maybe the not so default answer, maybe the slightly harder work is to sit down and talk about the questions, about the why, the how come, and also to perceptively see what the response is given, but think about like, what may be behind that response. So what I'm catching from your response, because this is a great one. Number one, there's a lot of educational gaps that may be out there that may be causing this. They may be the root cause. And when you see suspensions, detentions, behavioral issues, maybe look and figure out what that cause is. And again, the educational gap may be it.
Mhm.
And then behaviors will lead to the consequences. So, there's consequences, but there's behaviors that, again, may be caused by other factors. That's great. So then the next thing that I'm sure many people out there think about is if we're identifying these behaviors, what's that next step? I mean, when you have like foster care programs, are there any sort of like resources in the way of, further training and assistance that can help to overcome these issues?
Absolutely. So one of the things that Thompson does is we work with our foster families and our staff with training. So one of our trainings is therapeutic crisis intervention, and exactly what the title is. How do I therapeutically intervene while you're in a crisis? And then our care model, which is children and adolescents and residential experiences, and that is a real focus on the kid and that developing of the relationship, seeing where they're at so that I can, intervene. And I know that nobody likes training. Everybody's, oh, not training. But let's talk about training. Would you go to a doctor or to a dentist that was trained 20 years ago and has never had updated training since then? The answer is probably not. You would get there and be like, this does not look like state of the art equipment. I'm a little concerned, you know. And so parenting, especially with foster parenting, needs a little bit of training and needs a little updating so that you can make sure that you're helping that child and it's state of the art. And that's the training that we're providing to our families.
That is a fantastic answer because you're right. I mean, every parent needs a little bit more parenting, parent education, so to speak, continued education in parenting,
Absolutely.
So that's great. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and perspective on these shorts. Um, I'll catch you in the next one, Jen.
Absolutely.